What's up, folks? Welcome back in. This is JE Live, and we spent about a week away from JE Live due to the fact, well, I was dying. Not really, but uh, I was sick, and I'm still stuffed up, and I still don't feel the best. But obviously, we were gonna go and just go ahead and do it, right? I mean, why not? I feel like that's probably the best course of action, rather. You know, like why would we not? So that's what we decided to do. But I'll be taking questions and doing the usual. But yeah, so hope everyone is doing well. Let's see. For whatever reason, actually, the questions aren't really showing up, so I'll just have to figure that out. But yeah, I mean, we got plenty to talk about finally. That's normally what happens when you don't go live for a minute. But let's see. I want to say is that? Oh, there we go. Okay. There we go. All right. Got the comments. How's everyone doing? I'll be displaying your comments in just a sec. I'm just getting this thing up. Let's see here. Oh, okay. People are starting to come in here. Okay, so let's see. Perfect. All right. So yeah, Q&A, will be our usual. Oh, guess we're gonna do that whole thing. That's weird. Why is it doing that? Oh, that's so bizarre. My comment thing isn't working the way I want it to. There we go. Perfect. What's up, Isaac? Sorry that took forever. Hey, Brian. How's it going? Uh, I don't think too much about it. I don't love the options, but those are the options presented. So, not too much you could really do there. Uh, Riley Dixon's solid. He's not the best. He's not the worst. So, that's that. But let's see here. As far as Cameron Dicker, I could see him on the practice squad personally. So, oh, sorry about the ad. By the way, I made you a mod, Julio. Long time coming. You're in everything. You're in every call in I do, so I really appreciate you. Um, Felt like I already made you a mod, but I guess I didn't. So, yeah, waited way too long for that. I'm so happy Jalen Ramsey is getting disrespected. He's going to be so hungry going into the season. Yeah, can we talk about that? I know I was going to do a video on it, but I think at this point I'll just clip this because I'm honestly kind of blown away. There's an alarming amount of people that think Patrick Peterson is better than Jalen Ramsey. But furthermore, the fact that he isn't overrated, which, I mean, he is. If you look at his statistical output, it doesn't match how he's described by everyone else. So it doesn't mean, and again, let's just be real here. Overrated doesn't mean bad, right? Doesn't mean bad. If you're overrated, that just means that you're not as good as the way you are perceived. People put you up here when you're here. You can still be good and be overrated. But yeah, so I got some stuff here, and it's not all pretty and everything how I normally like to present facts and statistics and all that if I do. However, we're going to throw it up there on the screen because I made a little note. And let's see here. We're going to put it right up. It's funny, the image for the crawler is still up there from the last live stream. Okay, so basically, everyone has started to make this out to be like, okay, yeah, like Patrick Peterson, not everybody, but Patrick Peterson belongs to the same conversation as Jalen Ramsey. And that is, I mean, it's not like it's untrue, but let's put it this way. Jalen Ramsey would have to play another 10 years. Actually, sorry, he would have to play another 11 years. Okay? If he played another 11 years, averaging 3 touchdowns given up a season like he's doing right now, he would finally then pass Patrick Peterson for how many touchdowns he's given up in his career. Richard Sherman, he's given up 18 in his career, which likely ended. It looks like he's in TV now. That's good. Jalen Ramsey has 18 for his career. So Sherman's on a whole other level. Like, he's just ridiculous. But I want to show you these. So I'm going to bring up these stats. And as you can see here, this is what I do in my free time. That's not free. I'm always trying to learn some things and, work on some stuff. And, well, I make projects like this. So here's how this works. Basically, Jalen Ramsey obviously has played way fewer snaps than everyone else. He's going to have fewer stats. But he's on pace to definitely pass everybody. He's got a better missed tackle percentage, which is good, by the way. If you have a lower, that means good. He's got a lower missed tackle percentage than everybody. Double digit, by the way, for Patrick Peterson. And obviously the targets are going to be lower, but if you look, receptions given up, I mean, Patrick Peterson gave up 484 receptions to Richard Sherman 324. They played about the same amount of time. Patrick Peterson's still playing. And, then you look at, okay, yards per reception given up. Ramsey allows the fewest. Yards after the catch, the largest goes to Patrick Peterson. Touchdowns given up, 18, and then 49. Patrick Peterson has given up 49. Okay? He's given up 49 touchdowns in his career per PFF. And Jalen has 16 interceptions. He's played half as long as... he's not even close to Patrick Peterson as far as how long he's played. Peterson has only 30 interceptions. Sherman has 41. And Jalen Ramsey has 16. Jalen Ramsey could pass Patrick Peterson interceptions. And I'm almost kind of sitting here thinking the reason Patrick Peterson got so overrated was because of a 7 interception season in his second year. Well, guess what? What if I told you that you at home, you're sitting there and you're thinking, okay, Patrick Peterson, this guy's probably, he's been a ball hawk his whole career, probably comes down with 8 a season, maybe like a worse 5 a year. Wrong. He's never had a year since where he's had more than 3 interceptions in a season. So that just tells me that his rookie season, when he broke out onto the scene as a returner and became an All-Pro as a returner, that, on top of playing at LSU, being highly drafted, and then having that season in his second year of having 7 interceptions, his career's good. He doesn't, as far as I'm concerned, he can be really good, but we're always going to put him up here. Even if he's like good, we're always going to put him up here. That's what these stats are telling me. The film tells you that too, but I can't use the film. Once you use the film, people are like, well, that's just a 5-second clip. You can't use that, whatever. Jalen already has 61 pass breakups in his career. He's played a lot longer than the other guys. He is only 12 away from tying Richard Sherman, which makes sense. People didn't even want to throw Sherman's way. And he's already passed Patrick Peterson. He's already passed Patrick Peterson. Opponent quarterback passer rating, he's held quarterbacks lower than Patrick Peterson, around a 78. And obviously he's got fewer penalties. So this is what I do. When I hear things like, oh yeah, like this guy's this and this guy's that. No. I'm going to do my research and I'll decide, okay? I'm not going to sit here and listen to regurgitated nonsense on whatever talking head channel is saying what. I'm going to go out and do my own research. That's what this show is about. That's what this channel's about. I'm not going to sit here and just regurgitate the same stuff. I'm not going to do it, as Nick Saban would say. So, yeah. So here's the thing. Patrick Peterson, and this was brought up because Richard Sherman was like, yeah, me and P2, Patrick Peterson, like basically he was just kind of saying we're in the conversation, like clumping those two. And like Jalen, he called him the standard, but without actually saying it, he was somewhat being offensive because while he's saying he's the standard today, he's saying he's not quite there yet. And I would honestly disagree, and I would disagree even more because you brought up Patrick Peterson to justify your means. Maybe he was just being nice. Richard Sherman was just being nice to a friend, but like Patrick Peterson is not on the level of Richard Sherman. And you give Jalen 2 more years, and the statistics are going to show he's probably not on the level as Jalen. So that's a thing. And then when I hear from people that will say, well, it's not like Jalen's following the number 1 receiver the way Patrick did. Okay, Patrick Peterson gave up 13.2 yards per reception. So he gave up almost as much as Sherman, and Jalen is giving up 12.6. I'm going to explain to you right now why I think Jalen is more impressive because he doesn't follow the number 1 receiver all the time. I think that's overrated. Think about it. If you're following the number 1 receiver all the time, you're isolating. When you go and you do the game planning and you watch the game tape, you're isolating one dude. You're learning his tendencies. You're learning how he moves. It's all about that. But if you really think about it, isn't it more impressive that Jalen's playing the star, where he's not necessarily going to be covering the same guy every snap? Well, Jake, that means he's not going to go up against DeAndre Hopkins. He'll go up against Christian Kirk, or he'll go up against, instead of Devontae Adams, he's going up against Jeff Janis or whoever, like insert whoever there. Does not matter. All these receivers are different. So if anything, it's tougher. If you're constantly going up against Devontae Adams and you're the best corner in the league, yeah, he's going to win some and you're going to win some. But at the end of the day, you have an advantage because you only have to study him. That's it. You learn his tendencies. Does he give anything away? Does he do a head shake? Does he do a rocker step? Like, that's the thing. Like, you learn these tendencies based on who you cover. But if you're covering all sorts of guys, if Jalen has to cover all of that, right? If he has to play linebacker, if he has to play safety, if he's covering the running back, the wide receiver, the tight end, now Jalen's job's harder. He's covering different body types. He's covering different speeds, different skill sets. I mean, that's the thing. So he doesn't have that intel because now he's got to watch all those guys. He's got to learn all those guys. I mean, it's a lot easier when you're going up against Devontae Adams all game than it is to go up against Darren Waller and then go up against Renfro. And then, oh, by the way, Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake. And see, that's the thing. Like, it's harder because now you're going up against all these different body types. I mean, Darren Waller's like 6'6". Completely different way to cover him. And then you have the short and shifty, the slot guy in Renfro. And then you have the running backs to worry about. Now, I'm not saying he's going to play the star this year. I think they're going to move him away from that a little bit. But the point is, Jalen has had the toughest job of any corner I've seen over the last, I don't even know how many years watching football. And he's taken it like a champ, and he has not fallen off. You know how good he is? As soon as he gives up a touchdown, everybody wants to make fun of him like it's a big deal. It's ridiculous. I mean, let's put it this way. Trayvon Diggs had over 10 interceptions this year. He gave up over 1,000 yards on the season. Jalen didn't even give up 1,000. Like, he gave up like 600 something. Maybe even less than that. So, sorry. Jalen's become underrated. He was number 1 in the top 10 because, duh. He's not on Donald's level at the cornerback position, but he's kind of close. Like, Jalen is a lot better than the next guy. He does a lot more, and he takes on a way heftier workload. The only one that you can really compare to Jalen right now is Derwin James, based on the fact that they do similar things. That's the thing. If you're comparing corners, Jalen's kind of transcended the cornerback position because he's not just doing one specific thing. He's good at multiple things. And I see somebody mentioning, what about Revis and Darrelle Revis? And I'm like, yeah, what about Darrelle Revis? I mean, why is he not mentioned? Why is Patrick Peterson mentioned but not Darrelle Revis? That I don't understand. Isaac, appreciate you so much for donating. That's awesome. I just got around to seeing that. Yeah, I made you a mod. Yeah, I mean, it'd been a while. I don't know. I thought I already did, actually. Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't rule it out. Don't piss Jalen off. Agreed with that. Definitely agree. Although, isn't that the same, like, I'm watching it right now. Or not, I'm not, like, super into it. I'm trying to get into it. Peaky Blinders. Isn't that, like, 6 episodes? I think it is. Yeah, that's another thing. Hopefully we don't do... Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't want to see the punter. Absolutely, Julio. What's up, Coach? How you doing? Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm 26, so I've only been around 3 years longer than you. Soon to be 4, because I turned 27 in October. Don't remind me. But... No, I agree with you. I mean, we knew Ramsey was going to be special coming out of Florida State, though. We knew that. You know? I appreciate that, Amber. I felt bad. I really wanted to stream, and it just got to the point I was like, you know what? Like, I thought I was going to go live. I think it was Sunday, or was it Sunday? I don't know. AK Alexis Craft. She went live the other day. Whenever she went live, I was going to go live, and I decided, I was like, no, I don't want to overlap with her. So I decided to wait. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that... I was just thinking about this, guys. Just imagine a world where Matthew Stafford, and we can call this another universe. Don't get all upset. Matthew Stafford is on the Dallas Cowboys. If Matthew Stafford is on the Dallas Cowboys, do you think he gets listed as the 6th overall quarterback? I'm just saying. Jalen doesn't get credit because he doesn't get hella picks, but that's a good thing, IMO, because nobody really targets Ramsey with how dangerous he is. Yeah. And, I mean, he had 4 this past year. You know, he had 1 his first year, which was an awesome one. Jumped in the air and picked off Garoppolo. But he had 4 this year. I mean, who's to say he doesn't get 7 this year, you know? It's coming. And as the Rams develop guys around Ramsey, now that they have Hill back, that's the thing. Don't sleep on Troy Hill being back. Don't sleep on Jacoby Durant. Don't sleep on the multiple options they have in the back end of their secondary, from Nick Scott to Jordan Fuller to Terrell Burgess to Taylor Rapp to Quentin Lake. Don't sleep on that, because these are guys that eventually they're going to open things up for Jalen. And on top of that, don't sleep on the pass rush, of course, because the pass rush is going to open up things for Jalen as well. Yes, please hit the like on this video, the thumbs up. It really does help me out, and I would really appreciate it. It's weird that I don't remember putting the subscribe button there, but I guess, all right. People will always use the excuse that Jalen Ramsey is trash for his Super Bowl performance, but his Super Bowl performance wasn't that bad. And also, again, this kind of goes back to what I was saying. Notice how he didn't follow Jamar Chase the entire time like people were thinking he might. He was on T. Higgins. He's on Jamar Chase. He covered Boyd. Like, that's the thing. It's not as simple as just, oh, yeah, like, we're just going to follow one guy. Like, no. Like, Jalen doesn't do that. I don't understand the Bucks love. I really don't. They're a good team, but there's not a team in the NFC that worries me. The Rams are the best team in the NFC. As long as they win the games that they're expected to win, they'll be fine. Like, I don't, there's not one team that I look at and I'm like, yeah, that team is definitely scary. The Vikings, but I think the Vikings are being slept on. Like, I think they're a sleeper. I don't think that they're scary for the Rams. I think they're scary for Tampa. I think they're scary for Green Bay. Definitely wouldn't want to be in the Vikings division. The Niners are scary in the sense that if Trey Lance is anything like I think he can be, that's going to be a problem. I can probably get rid of this now since you guys have probably already seen this. So, yeah. Let's see here. Agreed. What's up, P-Train? Yeah, I definitely didn't sack the sickness. I still feel under the weather, but oh God, Father Jake, here we go. Here we go with that. Is somebody gonna ask me about Stranger Things? Alex, don't say anything. But is anybody gonna ask me about I haven't seen any of the normal questions, right? Q&A. It always starts with, hear anything about OBJ, Stranger Things, anything about the uniforms. What's your win-loss projection? It's normally the same questions to start off, but I'm not seeing any Stranger Things in here. Interesting. I disagree. We need Jalen covering and not playing the star. You only need him playing the star spot when he's not facing. Well, I wouldn't say you disagree because I wasn't saying that Jalen should play the star. I was saying that we should give him more credit because he did play the star and the other corners didn't. You see what I'm saying? So, like, Patrick Peterson never played the star. That's what I'm saying. I don't know about that, Willie. I know Nick Fury is going to be in. I don't know when it'll come out, but I know Nick Fury is going to be in Secret Invasion. But I don't know if he's going to be in a reboot of Agents of. I don't think they'll reboot Agents of Shield. They made too many of that. Exactly. Oh yeah, of course. I love that the Rams used in the Behind the Grind. They used Skip Bayless as like the guy. Gotta move my chair up. I don't know how I ended up so far back. I love how they use Skip Bayless as the guy though, like the hater. They did like a soundbite Behind the Grind for Matthew Stafford. Yeah, he is. So Dak, I don't hate Dak being top 10, but I hate it when Lamar Jackson doesn't make it. Lamar Jackson won the MVP in 2019, and he dealt with injuries last year, including injuries around him. I mean, he didn't have a running game. Like, they were down to the running back number 6 on the season. Tyson Williams was supposed to be, like, the guy, and then he was terrible. Or they thought he was I don't even know what happened there. But yeah, they lost Justice Hill. They lost Gus Edwards. They lost J.K. Dobbins. They lost Marlon Humphrey. They lost Marcus Peters. They were never, ever, ever going anywhere last year because they lost too many guys to injury. I mean, that was the thing. So, yeah. Ramsey wasn't even bad in the Super Bowl. He gave up 63 yards to Chase and 5 yards to Higgins minus a 75-yard face mask. 46 of Chase's yards came off one catch. Exactly. He wasn't. If you're an elite receiver and you're an elite corner, you're expecting those guys to get the best of each other at least 1 point. Chase only had one catch. And, I mean, Higgins had that obnoxious face mask that didn't get called somehow. He is overhyped. I don't know what a zero is. I can never see the 49ers trading him in division, but if that were to happen, it makes sense after they missed out on Baker Mayfield. I think Seattle should have hopped on Baker Mayfield. What's up, Ray? I really like Thor: Love and Thunder. I think I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I'll look it up right now, actually. I gave it 8.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I know there are a lot of people that hated it. Also, a lot of people that don't like Taika Waititi, which I didn't know. I thought a lot of people liked him, but apparently a lot of people dislike him. So yeah, that was surprising to me. I also gotta say, I saw a really good review on it. It was like someone called it Ragnarok Redux, and I feel like that's fair. It was very similar to Ragnarok. I don't know why people hate it so much. I don't know what you were expecting going into it. Like, I mean, Gore was a phenomenal character. I loved Gore. Christian Bale did not disappoint. I don't know. I don't get it. I really don't get the hate for it. I understand maybe you were disappointed in some things, like, Lena Headey wasn't shown in it. Her character got cut. The guy who plays Tyrion, Peter Dinklage, his character got cut. And Jeff Goldblum's character got cut. The Collector or whatever. Not the Collector. What the hell is his name? Anyway, those characters got cut, but I mean, they're like small scenes. I see people like freaking out. I think we just gotta enjoy movies, man. And I honestly might clip this because I'm gonna say it right now. Back in the day, I wasn't around, but back in the day, I've talked to multiple people, older people who grew up in the 70s and 80s and whatnot. And back in the day, it was like people enjoyed films more. They enjoyed TV shows. They weren't like critical about everything. I mean, I'm not against being a critic. Obviously, if it's your job, cool. If you want to, throw some criticism in there, I don't mind it. But it's like no one can enjoy anything anymore. Like, the whole Phase 4 of the MCU is just trash. Like, most of the stuff I see, it's so, like, negative. And then it's like any movie. Like, for instance, anytime there's an original movie. So the people that complain, they complain about, all today's TV is just modern day reboots and remakes. I'm not saying you're wrong, but then we get something like, say, I don't know, Spiderhead, right? Original story, is on Netflix. And I thought it was a pretty solid film. Like, it's not the best film ever, but it's pretty solid. And it's got a cool twist and everything. And there's people like downright hate it. And they're like, this is trash. This is the worst thing I've ever seen. And then people come out of the Thor theater and they're like, no, it's just straight garbage, man. Like, Thor's trash. Like, Jane Foster's terrible. Like, I'm like, all right. Like, not everything is going to be Endgame or Infinity War or, Civil War, whatever, Winter Soldier. And you got to realize that. Like, I don't know. It's the same people like No Way Home, right? Spider-Man No Way Home. Spider-Man No Way Home is just fan service. Or like the people that like genuinely didn't give any chance for the Star Wars films at all. Like, I understand they're new. I understand Disney owns them. It kind of freaks some Star Wars fans out. But the trilogy wasn't as bad as people think or people say. Okay, let's be honest here. Most things aren't that bad. If you're giving a movie a 2 out of 10 and it's a top tier movie, it's generating 200 million in the the box office in the first weekend. I'm sorry, man. I hate to tell you that your opinion's wrong, but your opinion's wrong. Like, movies aren't 2 out of 10. Okay, I understand you didn't like it, but like when people are like, yeah, this movie that they put $4 or $5 billion into to make it, I understand they did that, but it's trash. Like, no, it's not. Like, I saw people hating on Loki because they had such a big budget. Loki was awesome. That was a great TV series. It's not just MCU though. It's original stuff. It's people that complain about everything being reboots and remakes, but then bitch and whine and moan as soon as like, a thing like Spiderhead comes out or, something like that, right? Like Chaos Walking, Cherry, not just to name Tom Holland films, but you get my point, is like 21 Bridges, right? And I just noticed that is that it's now just let's hate on everything. Like even the people that were being negative about the new Halloween film, okay, they're being negative. They were like it's too much death. Like he's killing too much. I'm like he's Michael Myers. Does that dude look like he's gonna hold your hand and sing "Kumbaya" with you? Like no. Like why are you going to see horror and then complaining about too many people dying? Everyone's a critic. I get it. Everyone has an opinion. But, just because you have an opinion doesn't mean, it's like everyone just wants to be so negative now. And, my thought process is that, just talking to people that, not to be mean, but that are older, like older than me, who's 26, and has actually seen, like, I see people today, they hate on, like, they'll go back and watch movies to just hate on them. Like a good example for instance, it's called Groundhog Day, and I've seen people on Twitter say, "Yeah, Groundhog Day sucks." I was like, "Why does it suck?" Like, it's such a great like the idea of it is great, and it's filmed well, and it's got good acting, and it's funny, and it's also got a good lesson to it too. But it's just like everyone has to be so negative, and when I say everyone, I don't literally mean everyone. But it just does seem like everyone wants, like, the first thing that you want to do when you get home from a movie is tell people how bad it is because it'll make you look cool. And it's not even just that. It's like when you're in the toxic everything sucks community, then you delve into the whole, well, now I got to bully people because they like something different than I do. And that's where I'm not a fan of that. And Happy Death Day, yeah, Julio, Happy Death Day is a freaking banger, okay? That, fantastic. And exactly, they pretty much just took from the Groundhog Day idea, but they made it a horror film, and it's 100% recommend. Yeah, so that was kind of what I wanted to get off my chest, because I've been seeing it a lot, and I'm just like, I'm so tired. I know it'll never go away, but it's like, you know why people just enjoyed it back in the day, in the 70s and 80s? Or way further, because there's no social media. Like, social media is great, and there are things I love about it, but I just do not like how everybody has to have negativity about literally everything. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about you. I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky person. I do have my opinions, and I am passionate about certain things. But, I don't think there is very rarely a moment where I watch a movie or a TV series and I sit there and I get mad. I'm like, this sucks. Like, this is awful. The only time I think I've literally ever hated a movie, like I hated it, was Fantastic Four. And not the older ones. The newest one, 2015, that they decided to greenlight for some reason. I mean, the rule is, like, with my friends, is like, if Jake hates a film, it's bad. Jake doesn't hate anything. I'm like, I mean, hey, I just don't think movies are that bad. I think we focus way too much, like, this is the thing I find funny. It's this whole big thing, the plot was terrible. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, they're going through multiple universes. Like, what do you want? Like, I'm sorry, this isn't going to be a motion picture masterpiece. Like, I'm sorry. It's not the 10 Commandments, okay? But, like, you gotta, I guess, lower the expectations a little bit. Just have some fun and joy. Man, the Thor stuff, though. I mean, people coming out of the theater, people on Twitter, people on YouTube. God, I haven't seen one positive review on YouTube aside from Everything Always. Like, everybody on YouTube is hating on this thing. And for what? They just didn't like the comedy? Oh, yeah, Taika Waititi just takes his comedy too far. I mean, I'll agree. At some points, yeah, the comedy is a little ridiculous. Like, that's fair. But I don't see how a movie that has, like, Gore the God Butcher in it, and the way they depict him, I don't see how they missed the mark on him. I don't know. I saw people complaining about Thor's look. It's just to sell. It's just to sell children's toys. Okay, you do realize they're a business, right? You do realize by making other costumes or whatever, they're gonna sell more toys. That's a smart marketing idea, and it doesn't have anything to do. Doesn't hurt the story in any way. I saw people complaining they shouldn't have shown the Guardians of the Galaxy. They're in the movie for like 10 minutes. Why are you mad? Why is everyone so mad? There were people that were mad that certain characters weren't in there. Like, not everything is going to have cameos. I think we've like kind of lost our way. Like, we got so spoiled by the Infinity Saga that now we're not even going to let this whole... Like, Phase 4 is not jumping right into anything. It's taking the time, like right now, with all of the characters that they have gone through and told stories about. Keep in mind, the original cast of the Avengers is pretty much gone. Like, Robert Downey Jr. is not Iron Man anymore. Iron Man does not exist anymore. He is gone. Captain America is now played by Anthony Mackie's Sam Wilson. Chris Evans is gone. Natasha Romanoff is not around it. Like, that, do you see where I'm going with this? Like, even Hawkeye. Like, that was the first time we had seen him in a while, Clint Barton. So, my point here is that they're using Phase 4. After spending 10 years on this saga, they're building the next. It's gonna take time. You can't just sit back and watch the Moon Knight 6-episode TV series and learn more about a brand new character that's incredibly intricate. You gotta have your cameos. Everybody's gotta be everybody. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then Miss Marvel, like, you know, all of a sudden finally connects to the MCU because you had Moon Knight that really didn't connect that much. And people are complaining about the way it connects. And then you have, like, you know, Falcon Winter Soldier was terrible. It was just about Sam Wilson. Yeah, the story is literally how he becomes Captain America. Also introduces the idea of the Thunderbolts without you realizing it. Like, I don't... What is missed here? Loki was stupid. It's just time traveling and all that. Like, no, Loki is actually probably the most important TV series they've come out with. Maybe WandaVision, but probably Loki. Because Loki was setting up Kang, who is going to be the Thanos of this upcoming saga. So, like, this is what I mean. Like, it's just constant negativity and everything, and, you know, whatever. They did Kingpin wrong. They did this wrong. Why are they doing this? Whatever. Why is there a female Thor? God forbid there's female characters in the MCU. Everyone's a male. Like, all right, guy. Like, I don't know, man. I'm, like, so over the negativity. I just... like, I don't mean to rant the whole show, but it's just, like, I constantly see it, and, like, yeah, I could just let it go, but it's, like, always. Like, why is the first thought when you leave the movie theater, like, I can't wait to tweet about how trash this was and get all these engagements? Or my favorite, I can't wait to go home, go on Twitter, look up Thor Love and Thunder hashtag, and just shit on everyone that likes that film. That's what I can't wait to do. Like, I know I have a full day to go, and I could go fishing, or I could go out and maybe go to the gym, I could watch a movie, or I could create content. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go out of my way to trash people who like something. Yeah. I'm, as you can see, I'm over it. You want to be negative, fine. But God, can our generation get a little bit better? Please. It's the generation where we watch old films to see if they're inappropriate for today's culture. Like, we watch old films, not we, but my generation literally sits there and watches old films to see if they're racist, if they're sexist, if they're homophobic. Like, people are they're going back and watching, like, Ace Ventura to see if it's, like, homophobic or racist or sexist. Like, no one can enjoy anything anymore. And then I mean, can you expect them? The modern day films they're trying to hate on. It's like, oh, well, I ran out of things to hate on. Now I'll just go back and hate on the old stuff. I don't know, man. And who to cancel next? Like, oh, God. I don't know. I've been meaning to do that for a while. I've really been meaning to bring that up because it's just like it doesn't end. It really, it's like I don't know. It just doesn't end. It's like let's just get mad about everything. All right, on to the Q&A. Man, I could go on and on and on. I thought you weren't into Stranger Things. Yeah. So I actually, fun fact for him. I finished Stranger Things. Plot twist. I watched all of Stranger Things when I was sick. And I see why you guys wanted me to watch it. Because hot damn, that movie, it pretty much was like a movie. It was like multiple movies. But that TV series was fire. Like, that was freaking awesome. Like, I feel like an idiot having not continued before when Alexis tried to get me to watch it. Like, Stranger Things is right my alley because it's made by people that are like me, that love him, that love horror. And, like, Stranger Things, it gets that stigma because there's children in it. And you're like, oh, this is another, like, okay, like, whatever, this is Goosebumps, whatever. Probably Ghostbusters, but no. It is it's gory. It's a adult show for, well, I mean, kids can watch it too. They just have to have adult supervision, I would assume, if they're young. But it's a really good show. I could not believe how good that show was. I mean, you guys are right. You guys were right about Stranger Things. Big time. Golf clap to you. I think the Duffer Brothers absolutely nailed it. That last season was the best, though. Oh my God. That main antagonist, I don't want to spoil anything, was crazy. Crazy. I loved it. One of my favorite antagonists probably in any project, if I'm really thinking about it. What do you think the criteria is for having an NFL dynasty, and do you believe the Rams are headed for one? I do. I do think they are headed towards one. You know, I think really the criteria is this, okay? If you want to have a dynasty, you got to have 2 Super Bowls in the last 4 years, at the very least, to get that thing started. Once you get it started, like 2 in the last 4 years, and then you make another one, like once you hit 3, say 3 in the last 6 years. If you have 3 Super Bowl wins in 6 years, like, you're a dynasty. Like, you've created something where, you know, you're winning a Super Bowl half the time, essentially. So half of those 6 years you've won the Super Bowl. If you can keep it to the multiples, like if you can get 4 and 8 or 5 out of 10, that's a dynasty in my mind. You're winning half the decade. You see how that sounds? That's dynasty. That's what that means, in my opinion. I highly recommend it from someone that hadn't watched it until like a couple weeks ago or last week. I don't even know. I've lost track. Yeah, right? I do think so. Yeah, the Cooper Cup wasn't that one wasn't super like into it the way Stafford was, but I didn't I thought it was pretty solid. All right. Stafford for MVP. We'll see. I don't think he's ever getting MVP. No one will vote for that. Yeah. They really I really think people are sleeping on the Ravens. I think they're sleeping on the Steelers too. If those are the two teams in that division, I won't be shocked. If the Bengals fall back down, won't be shocked. Um Potentially, and if it is anybody, I would expect it to be Joseph Noteboom because he just signed the contract, the long-term contract. Oh, I agree with you. I can never see that. I appreciate that. Yeah, I just like here's the thing with Brady, and I feel like I sound like such a hater, but I mean, I appreciate his greatness. I do, and I respect him like big time, but Brady's the one guy where you take his all-time stuff, right? Like you take his all-time standing, and that's like what he is. So, what I mean by that is if you are ranking quarterbacks, almost every time people are going to rank Tom Brady high because the all-time like everything he's done in his entire career. Does not matter that it's 2022. Does not matter that it's for now and he's going to be 45. No, it's his all-time accomplishments. And I've seen it. I've seen people point it out that they're even doing it that way. Like they're coming out and they're like, well, I feel bad putting Brady ahead of him, but Brady's won 7 Super Bowls. And it's like, that's great, but I'm talking about this year. Like, who's the better quarterback right now? To me, it's Stafford. Yeah, Star Wars fans hate the guy. Whatever. I think Taika's fine. Which Rams loss was the worst last year in your opinion? The worst loss was the Rams Titans because the Rams Niners, that was just a bad game, right? You know, that game they get OBJ, but they were planning on moving OBJ into the wide receiver room with Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp tears the ACL. So the game plan, keep in mind, he tore his ACL on a Friday. They didn't find out until Saturday. So the game plan obviously had to change because a lot of it was going to be utilized with Robert Woods and how important he was. When he gets hurt, the game plan changes, and they're just not ready for Monday Night Football. That's really what it came down to. So they didn't look ready. They didn't look, confident at all. So that's not the worst loss. The worst loss to me was the Titans game. Because, and I said this, I remember saying this, I got hate for it, but when I went live after the Rams beat the Texans, I was upset. And people were like, why are you mad? Like, you should be happy. Like, whatever. Like, they beat the Texans. And I was like, I was happy. I enjoyed watching the beatdown. But when they took their foot off the gas, you don't think that's going to have any ill effects on the team? The momentum? Think about that. You stopped trying. Like, Davis Mills went down the field and dropped 3 touchdowns on your ass. Like, back to back to back. So, yeah, I was pretty pissed. I thought they should have finished that better. They didn't finish that well. And then they go into the Titans game, and what do you know? They just completely have a laugher in front of a national audience on Sunday Night Football against the Titans. and then the Niners, and then the Packers. That's what I think caused that losing streak. I know it sounds crazy, but I really think that kind of gave them some bad vibes, honestly. Finish the games. You want to take your guys out, okay, but you got to play stronger than that. They wouldn't let Wolford throw it. He's handing it off. I mean, I don't know. I was not a fan of that, though. So that Titans game, to me, was the worst loss. And the worst win was the Texans win because they didn't finish the game. They played 2 quarters very well, and then they didn't finish the game in the second half. They didn't, because Texans came back, and they didn't win, but did a good job of making it close. Oh, really? I've seen people say they hate Watiti and Korg, which now you're hating the Thing painted blue, who's voiced over by the director. Like, it's not that deep. Don't even get me started with the Dwayne scene. People were hating on that. If you know, you know. Yeah, I mean that was frustrating, but people are calling it Thor 12 and under. Um I I don't know. I get it, but like Gore was too dark to be a 12 and under. Like, yeah, I think that's ridiculous, honestly. Yeah, exactly. Not everybody had to be right about everything. By your same logic of revenue generated, you'd have to concede your opinion is wrong on Drake, but I agree with you, he's trash. That is somewhat fair. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of different in the music industry, but I see what you're saying. You didn't like this one? Yeah. The Michael Myers mask is William Shatner's original face mold, painted white. Darren, you are spot on, my friend. Our golden rule in the office is you can't please everybody. People get mad at the original content while also hating remakes and nods to classics. People just love to complain. Facts. Absolutely, Boondy. I don't even know what Namor is in this MCU, because they didn't want him to be too close to Aquaman. So, yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with him. Oh, yeah, that was great. I love Groundhog Day. Bill Murray is awesome in that. Needle on the head, Ned. If you were redrafting Cup today, what round would you take him in? Well, first round. You'd have to take it. The Rams wouldn't be able to get him. I mean, if you were redrafting today, where the Rams were, yeah, they wouldn't be able to get him. He didn't have a pick. Yeah, exactly. I definitely think social media has an influence. I think, people, like I said, I mean, think about it like this. A bad take generates engagement, right? Maybe bad publicity, right? People may hate on you for it, but it's generating engagement. Essentially, putting out things that are wrong or things that are bad or things most people don't agree on is going to create engagement. Whereas if you're just agreeable and you think you put out a good take or you agree with the consensus, then you might get a quote tweet here and there, but for the most part, you're not really getting much. People agree with you, so they're not gonna come at you the same way. So social media definitely is an influence on that, because if you're negative, it's different than the pack, and so for that reason, then you stick out like a sore thumb, and it helps you. Oh my god, I know. I'm convinced TikTok is gonna end us all because it's just making everyone more sensitive, but that's just me. Yeah, Post Infinity Saga. Yeah, yeah, it is. Eh, I mean, I actually couldn't wait for Phase 4. I was excited for WandaVision, excited for Multiverse, excited for Thor, excited for. I think Ant-Man Quantumania is going to steal the show, to be honest with you. I think people are going to be blown away by Ant-Man. I think that movie is going to be amazing. I appreciate that, Boondy. Love you too. I really do appreciate that. It's cool to have a platform where I can actually speak on things and not be like hiding my opinion on them, you know? Yeah, I loved it too, but everything sucks now, so apparently it wasn't good. I haven't seen it, but sounds about right. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that, and I'm sure it'll get brought up on MCU Edge. By the way, I'm going live on MCU Edge 9:30 Eastern time, so if you want to talk about Thor Love and Thunder, spoiler full episode. Watch the movie before you go on the or check it out. So I'm taking call in as well. So I'm taking callers so you guys can call in, you guys can comment. But yeah, it's an interactive podcast essentially like radio, and I'll be going live on the call in app exclusively in 30 minutes. Link in the description. It is called MCU Edge, and we're going to be talking about the MCU. So if you're interested in that, definitely check that out. Oh, sorry, going back to that. Yeah, no, that's the first thing I thought as well. With Echo, I think that they're like it's weird because Boba Fett I understood. I mean, I didn't really agree with it, but I understood it because Boba Fett was just so loved for like the helmet, like back in the day. So like he had like this cult following, very very big following. And Echo, I don't know anybody that likes Echo, so it's just kind of weird. But yeah, I think Daredevil and Kingpin are gonna take over that show. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm glad we had some topics. Dukes of Hazzard. I've never seen it. I heard good things about it. Yeah, I mean, I don't. I just think a lot of that's what a lot of it is though. You know, is that even though it's not hurting anybody, offending any, I just think people look for ways to be offended. Like even for people that it would offend, when that group doesn't find it offensive, and then another group is like, "Why don't you find it offensive? You should. I find it offensive." Like, it's just ridiculous. It's like we gotta just like live our lives and just be like more free, right? Like just be like more happy and loving and less hateful and trying to get everyone in trouble all the time. Like it's I don't know. Like Chris Pratt, man. Like I'm not saying anything about his church stuff. I mean, personally, I'm not like a super religious person. So whatever. But it's like this dude is getting crucified by fans. Like they want him canceled and they want him recast. It's like whatever. Whatever, man. Like I think there's a thing called selective canceling because by the way, Justin Bieber goes to the same church and those same people are not canceling Justin Bieber. I can tell you that. So I believe in selective canceling. I think it's a real thing. I'm not saying that should be done, but I'm saying it's 100% a real thing. Duff Brother started their own production called Upside Down Pictures. Oh, really? That's cool. I don't know. I really don't know what got me into watching it. I think it was a combination of that, maybe the YouTube algorithm picking up on it being mentioned in my channel because I kept all of a sudden getting all of these videos of it. It was showing up on Twitter. Alexis was, bagging on me to watch it. Yeah, I don't know. I guess a lot of different things. Yeah, I do. I do, Benny. I think he'll start. Yeah, I am scared for that for the next generation of kids. That, like I said, I think TikTok is softening up the kids. I think TikTok is I blame it on TikTok. I know it sounds crazy, but I really do. I think it is getting to that point where people are getting way too quickly, way too offended over little things. Oh, really? That's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, mine as well. I'm seeing the Yankees Wednesday. Yankees Reds. As long as it doesn't rain out again. If it rains out again, folks, I might go on here and rant for an hour. But hopefully it doesn't. So no JE live on Wednesday. Forgot to mention that. Sorry. I mean, yeah, that's basically what's happening, right? I mean, it's weird the way some people talk about him. How it's always Julian Edelman, or it's always like, why is he compared to Julian Edelman? Isn't Julian Edelman like 5'11"? I don't know. He never had a 2,000-yard season. Yeah, it's just weird. I don't like it. I like it. Yeah, I would have hated to be there. I would not have enjoyed that. Oh, Dr. Detroit, when will you learn? Maybe when Stafford wins again this year, you'll start giving him some respect. I don't think I'll be checking that out. I've never really been into Beavis and Butthead, but that's cool that they're remaking it or adding on to it, whatever they're doing. Um, well, here's what I think, and this is not talked about anywhere near as much as it should. We sit here and we dog on Phase Four, but they're first off, this is the thing we always talk about. So this has been said many times, but they're creating backstories for characters we've never seen before. They're introducing us to brand new characters some people have never even heard of. So there's that. So yeah, I mean, it is going to be a little muddy there because you're trying to tell, hey, random MCU fan that only really cares about the movies, get Disney Plus, start watching this movie about a guy called Moon Knight who has dissociative identity disorder, who you have no idea what is about. Oh yeah, also while we're at it, go and watch Loki. Even though we told you that he died in Infinity War, he's actually alive, but it's a different Loki. It's a different variant. We're also going to teach you about the multiverse. We're going to make everything extremely complicated. So you see what I mean? Like, it's a lot to take in for a casual viewer. Now, the thing that no one's talking about is how much COVID had to do with some of the convolutedness of Phase 4. I mean, I already know for a fact, and we already know, Multiverse of Madness was supposed to come out before No Way Home. They had to rewrite it to make it make sense because No Way Home came before Multiverse of Madness due to the pushback. They had to basically do more shooting. They had to do reshoots because they changed everything. And like you said, when things are going into other things, now all of a sudden you have to change everything that you're doing. Like, that's the thing. Like, phase 3, phase 2, phase 1, none of that went through any sort of pandemic. But phase 4 was right in the heat of COVID. They pushed everything back a year, and then they continued to push stuff back. That's what we don't talk about enough. The reason Black Widow didn't have as much cohesiveness is because it got pushed literally out of phase 3. Straight up. Like, see what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing. I think there are a lot of reshoots here. I think a lot of things, maybe some miscommunication, but ultimately, I think it's been a very good and successful phase to this point. I think it's been very entertaining. I have been absolutely pumped for everything that's come out. Miss Marvel's the only thing that I really didn't care about, and now I like it. And the season finale is Wednesday, and I can't wait for it. So, no, I gotta disagree and agree at the same time. I think yes, it is convoluted. It is somewhat messy, but I don't think it's necessarily to fit within the previous 30 movies. I think it's actually to fit within their own phase movies. I think phase 4 got muddied because of the pandemic. Oh yeah. I just finished the season 3 and I just can't wait for season 4. I mean, there's people complaining about that. I don't know, man. Oh, it's not fair. This happens and this person dies and whatever. Everything is wrong, whatever. Yes. Yeah, me as well. I'm curious to see how big of a role Cassie Lang has in this one. For them to recast Cassie Lang for Ant-Man Quantumania tells me that she's going to have a pretty big role. And there's seriously going to be a time jump. Like, there should be at least. Well, the Thanos villain is essentially going to be Kang, who's going to cause the incursions, and at some point or another, we're going to get Secret Wars, and then we're probably going to see Doctor Doom. I don't think that they are going to go after... That's going to be in Phase 5, though. Like, that's the thing I keep hearing as well. Like, there's people that are upset because they're like, well, Phase 4 isn't even going to have the ending of this saga. I'm like, relax. The Infinity Saga took 10 years. 3 phases. Like, you don't want to see Kang, like, in his full form and at his best at the end of Phase 4. You want it to build up. You got to build his backstory. We don't know much about him. Yes, we do, but not in the MCU. I think I'll watch it. It looks interesting. It's probably the first movie I've seen where The Rock doesn't look like he's about to crack a joke. Like, he looks serious in that. So, and I do like jokester Rock, don't get me wrong, but I'm also interested in this dark Rock. Like, I'm very interested in that. Oh, yeah. Yep, they will. Yeah, the Mets' hate for the Yankees is weird. Like, I understand the Yankees beat them in the World Series back in, like, 2000, but it's very weird. Like, the Jets don't hate the Giants this much, and the Giants don't hate the Jets this much. It's like, I don't know. Like, the other day, the social media team for the Mets started a hashtag Met Sox, which, yuck. And they wanted to pump up the Yankees' rival, Red Sox, and get Rafael Devers into the All-Star game. Like, I can't imagine the Yankees ever doing something that pathetic, and I'm glad that I like the Yankees, not the Mets. I'll just say that. Sorry, Jets fans. I understand most of you like the Mets. I do not. I do like Buck Showalter, though. So, do you agree with Brett Favre? Devontae will regress with Carr. I agree with him. He could. I don't know if it's entirely fair to say because Devontae is an incredible route runner. He's a very good receiver in general. Like, I don't know how much of that has to do with Rodgers. I don't think Rodgers is necessarily hurting him, obviously, but I don't think he's necessarily like helping him either. Like, I'm sure he's helping him to a degree, but like great receivers are going to be great. Like, I would expect Cooper Kupp to be great anywhere else. You know, just like I would expect Justin Jefferson to be great with Derek Carr or Kyler Murray or whoever. So, but I get what you're saying. we're gonna wrap this thing up here. If you're a Rams fan, Nick Scott, that like button. If you're a Jets fan, go ahead and bang that like button like Zach Wilson banged. Well, you know the rest. LOL. Oh my god. Yeah, that's So one of the Jets fans that follows me was like, "Yo, when are you gonna cover the Zach Wilson stuff?" And I was like, "Oh, what's Zach Wilson stuff?" I was like, kind of worried. And then Alexis like messaged me, and she's like, "Zach Wilson got into some stuff or like drama or something," and I was like, and I immediately was worried. I thought like it was legal, and I'm like, "Oh no, the Jets season's done." And then I read about that. I'm like, "Oh my god." I I have no idea what to say. Um, I did hear that. Yes, I don't know how true any of that is. Well, if it came from OBJ, it's true, but you know, I don't think they need a backup that bad. I would get Kyle Sloter. That's who I would get, but I've already made a video on that. 100%. Honestly, it's impressive what they've been able to do. Because if you look at DC, DC with COVID has been a disaster. DC without COVID is a disaster. But DC with COVID has been an absolute disaster. So it's impressive how much they put together in phase 4, considering everything that happened. I mean, just think about this. There was supposed to be other characters. Like Wonder Man was literally Doctor Strange. They were supposed to be in WandaVision. That got scrapped due to the pandemic. Kat Dennings was supposed to have, more of a role. I don't even think she was in the last. I'm pretty sure she wasn't in the last episode because they didn't film it. She couldn't make it because of COVID. Like, a lot of that happened, and so they just kind of rolled with the punches and did what they could. Loki got limited at times. Yeah. So. It kind of is. Not really, but it kind of. Because, the Avengers are still known. Everything they did still stands. And, the Avengers that are still around and alive, they still remember everything. But, yeah, I mean, for the most part, it hasn't entirely connected to, phase 3. Some of it. But, I mean, like, how much of Thor connected to phase 3? Like I said, some of it did, but not all of it. A quick montage, but I mean, I don't know. Oh, really? Let's see. I don't think the. Maybe they do. Maybe the Angels hate the Dodgers. I don't know how that works. Oh, yeah. Man, Philip, I gotta tell you, I have no idea. Because after McVay, I mean, that could be 20 years from now. It could be 10 years from now. It could be 5. Like, hard to know. I'd imagine they'll be okay, but what's up, Andrew? Well, here's what I'll say. Because I understand what you're saying, Eric, but at the same time, you have to understand that Phase 4 was the first time the MCU has gone out to TV. Technically speaking, nothing before it was canon. So they were in different universes, and it had never been MCU. None of the Marvel Netflix shows were MCU. None, like Cloak and Dagger, Runaways, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., none of them were truly in the MCU. Like, they teased it, but they weren't truly in the MCU. So that's the thing. Like, people look at Phase 4, like, it hasn't all been movies. Like, a lot of it is they put a lot of TV shows out, and this is the first time they're doing anything like that. So I don't know if I would say they're putting it out too fast, and I wouldn't say the quality isn't quite there because, God, look at how nice these TV shows look. They're like cinematic. It's crazy. It's like watching a movie. So I just don't know if I agree. Yes, hit that like would really help me out. I mean, yeah, I guess. I didn't really have that big of an issue with it, but I hate the Minions. I think it's the worst thing ever created, and I will never watch the Minions. So I would say yes, Thor was better, but I also never saw the Minions, and I never plan to. That is one of those things, folks. You'll never get me to watch the Minions ever. No, 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 no. Oh yeah, that was funny. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe you could make that argument. The TV shows, you've gotten used to their quality. You feel like they've put maybe more effort in the TV shows than the movies. But I mean, to be fair, it's a part of Phase 4? No Way Home. And I think No Way Home is the best. I think it's the best movie, period. But that's just me. I thought it was perfect. Really was. But then again, the haters. They're like, well, it was just fan service for 2 hours. All right, whatever. Oh, man. Well, guys, it's been fun. I'm glad I was able to get back on here. I'm excited to watch, the viewer count go up and, people to start getting more interested as the season progresses and moves closer. But, yeah, I'll be live. If anyone wants to talk MCU, if they want to give their opinion on Thor Love and Thunder, if they saw it, I'm going live to do a live podcast so you guys can call right in and we can discuss it. But that's gonna be that. So appreciate y'all. You guys take care, and hopefully I will see you. Link in the description on call in. Make sure to download the app. Make sure to follow me on it, and make sure to check out MCU Edge tonight at 9:30 Eastern time. So 10 minutes. Later, folks.